Sir, first of all, thanks for coming to our LitFest Lexicon. We are glad to have you here as our chief guest. Sir, tell us something about your book club, Delhi Proustians, and author Marshall Proust.
Thank you first of all for inviting me. I had such a great time. So thank you so much. Thank you from the heart. And Proust is somebody whom I love deeply. I've got a serious relationship with him for many years now, He wrote this novel, In Search of Lost Time, which is called in English translation. It has got 6 volumes and I've read it twice. And now my main maqsad in life is to be one of those rare Proustians in the world who has read the Proust novel, who has reread the Proust novel more than once. So that's what I'm trying to do now, and I'm currently in the 2nd volume. But it is also very challenging because you keep on distracting by other writers. Proust is somebody, there are many great writers. Proust happened to me, some other writer can happen to you. Like Proust opened my eyes, he altered the way I live, I breathe, how I relate to people, how I listen to music, how I connect with feelings, how my connection with my love life, my connection with my friends, with my family, with the city I happen to be living, and with the past, with the present, and what is there to come tomorrow. It all happened because of Marcel Proust. So I really love him. And as for the book club, yes, I do have a book club where I invite people who want to read Proust, but I think it's all, it's all dramabazi. The real thing is that when you want to connect with somebody, it has to be an intimate relationship between you and that writer. So, one can find their other eye. Proust happens to be my other eye. Yours can be some other writer. It could be Ghalib or somebody else. So you'll have to establish your own relationship with that person.
Okay, so all the best with your book club.
Thank you.
What was the inception for the idea of Nobody Can Love You More?
Well, at that time when I started writing the book, I was not so clear in my head, but now when I look back, I can see that what I love doing about, what I love writing about and taking photographs about is finding ordinary in extraordinary things, I love ordinary moments, because things can change in a day. My life, your life, right now, the people whom I love are here, I am breathing, I don't know what will happen at 9 p.m, maybe I'll die, So this is the moment, this is what I love. But what was the question? I've forgotten because of all my gyan.
The book Nobody Can Love You More.
Yes. So, I keep walking around Delhi, but GB Road, Delhi's red light district, was the only place where I would be scared, because there were stories that if you go inside the kotas, people will misbehave with you, the pimps will be there with knife. And even in the books which I've read about Delhi, there won't be any mention in GB Road, which was so strange, because GB Road is, it's like 10 minutes walk away from Connaught Place. Connaught Place is a place where mummy, papa comes and have dinner, dal makhani vagera. And we are not talking about GB Road, it's just there. And one day, because of certain circumstances, too complicated to explain here, I happened to be inside the kotha, and there were the women, the sex workers, the prostitutes, and there were their children, and there were the customers. And at that time, it seemed so normal to me that this is how the world is like, this is what it is, And I wanted to capture that ordinariness in that extraordinary word, because I know that it was not ordinary, because when I went back to Cafe Turtle in Khan Market, when I went back to my parents' place, I know that that place is not normal, for me. So, but still, when I was there, I thought this is how the world is, and I wanted to capture that ordinariness. That's why I worked on that book.
Mayank Austen Soofi on his blog when Arundhati Roy's debut novel God of Small Things.
Oh, because I love the God of Small Things. That was, I grew up and I was very proud, and I'm still proud that I grew up on Daniel Steele and Sidney Sheldon and Enid Blyton and, all those things which you can't name now, And God of Small Things was the first, like cool, serious book, like intelligent people talk about, I read. And at that time, I didn't know that it's that kind of book. To me, it just connected because it was a beautiful story, and I'm really crazy about that book. And even now when I read it, I recently read it again, one of the nth times. And it's so beautiful, I think my problem is that when I find a home, then I don't like going to other homes. So I've got a deep relationship with Jane Austen, with Arundhati Roy, with Emily Dickinson, Proust. So, it's a problem. I don't like to try other writers because I'm so comfortable here. Like, I like close reading, so.
Okay, since you mentioned, we all know that we have a special affiliation for Emily Dickinson.
Yeah.
How that evolved?
It was just by chance. There was no strategy, you know. Like I still remember, I was in a second-hand bookstore in Nehru Place few years ago, and I saw a paperback book, and the cover was completely faded, so it was very old second-hand paperback. And I opened it, and she's like really difficult poet, you know. Most of her poems, you know, you can't make out the head and tail. Is this mad, crazy woman or what? And yet the strings of lines, the strings of sentences were so moving, so heart-touching. And since then, I just kept on reading her. And now, when I read her, even now, I cannot sometimes fully understand her, but there's some special bond. I think if you read her, she's like a Sufi, you know. She's very grand, but in a very intimate way. Like for instance, Shakespeare writes about people, Arundhati Roy writes about people, Marcel Proust writes about people, and she wrote about herself, her feelings, and her garden. And you know, so when I carry her book, it's always there in my bag, by the way, you know. It's like I'm holding all the butterflies and the garden and death. She wrote so much about death and graves and, you know, grief, and you know, she's so intimate and so universal, so I love her.
So Mayank Austen Soofi loves to read about people. So how people of Delhi, the Delhiwalla, thinks about the people of Delhi?
How I think about... Well, you know, like I just think that they are just like another set of normal, boring people anywhere in the world, you know. Nothing great or unusual about them. Like when I go to Bombay, then I want to belong to Bombay. When I go to Calcutta, I want to belong to Calcutta. When I go to Rampur, I've been in Rampur for some times, and I just want to belong to Rampur. Basically, I'm not in love with a particular geography. I want to belong, which is not always possible. I want to belong to a place where I happen to be at the moment. Right now I am in Jamia, and this is the center of my world. Nothing else matters.
So how was the experience at Jamia?
Well, it was like, you know, you can see my face and you can see I can't, like, dulhe ka wo ho gaya pata nahi, you know, like.
At last, we want to ask about, as an Indian writer, how does it feel in times of identity crisis? In today's time, how an Indian writer feels?
I don't like to think of myself as Indian writer. I like to see myself, think of myself as writer in India. I don't want to belong to any, you know, like, of course I love this land and I love things about it, but I belong to the sky, I belong to the earth, and things are happening in India, things are happening in America, things are happening in Europe, things are happening in New Zealand, Australia, everywhere. It's a dangerous world, and sometimes you just want to, because in so many ways I'm from a privileged background, so at least until this moment I have the luxury of shutting down every noise which is happening and retiring to my Jane Austen. But I know that for many people this is not at all possible. So but you try to do things, you try to live, you try to respond to the times in your own way, you know. Sometimes you're scared, but sometimes, but you also know that you need to do something, because this is a place which I love from my heart. My work so far is coming from here, and when I'm in Delhi, you know, like when I go abroad and when I come to Delhi, and you know, whenever you come from abroad, the planes always land at 2 in the morning, and then you see the lights of the city and you feel that, wow, one of these gullies is mine. So, you know.
Okay, sir, we all are literature students, so what would you like to suggest us? As literature students, what we should explore and read more?
Well, you all have your syllabus things and all those things, so I don't know. I've never been to the university, so I cannot suggest anything. I can only tell you about myself, that I read what touches my heart. I look for writers who I think write sincerely. They're not writing for the show, they're not writing to be published, they're not writing for the market, because my life is short, you know. I will die after 20 years, or maybe after a year, or maybe tomorrow. So I just want to read about people who write for themselves, who, because they have no option, that's why they are writing, you know. So I just want to belong to those writers, and I know there are many such writers. So that's it.
Okay, so thank you.
Thank you.
Sir. This was the Jamia review.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.